Andy, Ty, Draper team, thank you in advance for taking a minute to listen through this. I'm going to share the screen very quickly and share the deck as I run through what we are doing. So, Satlantis, we are building the creator platform for social clubs, communities, events, and the IRL world, standing for in real life. So, at the outset, I just want to say there is a massive societal shift towards in real life events, communities, and offline social networking, which is already underway. I spoke about this with Andy. Many of you will probably be also familiar with this sentiment. What we're building is the number one global platform to enable, enhance, and capture this demand. So, a bit of context to set us up. We all know AI is kind of blasted onto the scene and it's making the online world infinite effectively. So, anything that is digital now is becoming effectively infinite, right? The attention economy, as a result, is getting saturated. People, particularly Gen Z and millennials, I've got some data around this if you'd like to see, or I'll leave it in the appendix. But they are checking out. They are getting offline and they're starting to connect in the real world. Simultaneously, creators are losing their prior defensibility. So they traditionally sold information, knowledge products, things like that. Now people are just buying a ChatGPT subscription and they're not paying for information knowledge products anymore. So as a result, what's happening is people are starting to reorient themselves around how they can differentiate themselves from the bots and from the AI and from everything that is happening online. The result is a massive boom in the experience economy. And the experience economy is huge, right? Like it's very difficult to quantify how large it is because it covers everything from hospitality, which is like a $20 billion industry, travel, which is about a $12 billion industry, sorry, trillion. Hospitality, 20 trillion, travel, 12 trillion, wellness is a $8 trillion industry, sports, experiences, events, social clubs, all of this kind of thing. Now, one of the biggest and most underrated growth opportunities and also indirect beneficiaries of the AI revolution is basically events, social clubs, and offline communities. What you're seeing is a couple of things. You're seeing, number one, is events have exploded. In 2025, there was almost double the number of events in 2019, which is important because 2019 was the peak year for events globally before COVID came in and decimated everything. So 2025 wasn't just bigger than 2024, but it was bigger than the prior peak when Eventbrite was listed on the stock exchange and was worth $4 billion, etc. You're seeing creators who were previously people like DJs, like Diplo, who's one of the most famous DJs in the world, running run clubs. You're seeing the rise of these social clubs, everything from Club Orange to Lady Social, Coffee and Chill, Bali Social Club, everything from run clubs, founders clubs, all this sort of stuff popping up all over the world, particularly in trendy cities, because people want to connect again offline with a technological element associated to it. So people aren't going Amish, they are going hybrid and offline, but they want to connect and they want software, they want a place to do that. Now, the problem is there is nowhere to do that. Basically, all of these creators, all of these brands, all of these community organizers, all of these event organizers, they're kind of trapped between Eventbrite or Luma on the one hand, which is good for ticketing, good for events, or on something like Circle, Discord, School, or WAP, which is one of the big new competitors that just raised 200 million, who are great for online communities, but useless for events, for ticket management, for check-ins, for discovery, for calendars, for memberships, and all of that kind of thing. So basically, nothing really fits the new paradigm where events and community and social clubs go hand in hand. That's been a big transformation since COVID, since the lockdowns, and since AI and social media got saturated. So we are building a creator platform specifically for social clubs and communities. So here you can manage and monetize everything from a membership to events to calendars. You can manage your payments. You can do your community, your club, everything in one place. And what makes us really special is that we support fiat, Bitcoin, and stablecoin very soon, which means we are the first truly global creator platform built for events, social clubs, and communities. Now, we're not the only ones to pick up on the underlying trend. There's a massive trend here. You've got the incumbents that are being acquired. So Bending Spoons is I think they're a $12 billion PE firm that acquired both Meetup and Eventbrite. Surprise, surprise, they didn't do that for no reason. And on the other hand, you've got these event centric applications like Particle, Luma, and all this sort of stuff, raising massive Series A's, building effectively new age event applications because the old ones are tired. But, and this is what sets us apart, they're missing the bigger picture. They're all concentrating on events, tickets, and calendars. And while they're necessary, I don't believe they're enough. What matters, in my opinion, is continuity, loyalty, and longevity, which is effectively what communities and members clubs provide. And that's why at Satlantis, we are building community first with events as a built-in feature to this. As you can see here, you can look in it deeper if you want, but we've got the whole gamut covered as opposed to what the competitors have at the moment. Now, this gives us an interesting situation, which is in the age of AI, you don't want to just build a tool, you want to build something with a network effect. So for us, creators and brands come and they want to turn their audience or their customers into community through events and social clubs, right? So they come and use events and calendars to do that, to build the numbers. And then people become part of the clubs and communities. So this is where they get continuity, belonging, shared history, the connection. And as a creator and a brand, they can unlock new value through the memberships. So these communities or these members clubs, these social clubs are effectively offline SaaS businesses, or as Andy put it quite aptly, these guys are building light touch country clubs, right? Where they don't need the infrastructure, they don't need a physical place. These things start to come together and build a network effect, which is where we believe we have some longevity. So who are we targeting? Well, we're targeting three primary archetypes. Number one is the creators who are either looking to expand in events, they want to turn their audiences into communities, or they've actually seen their information product sales suffer to some degree, and they're looking to diversify and basically make themselves AI immune. An example here is Augustin. He runs a massive global real estate community, particularly in Latin America and the States. So he's now using our software to run masterminds on a monthly basis, and he's going to start running a quarterly sort of mini conference between 500 and 1,000 people. We're working with brands as well. We have a discussion going now with the number one actually women's sportswear brand in the south of Brazil. And the way they built their brand was through running regular events. Now, they're scattered across multiple applications. They're using Simpler, which is like a local Eventbrite application. They're using WhatsApp to do chat. They're using a spreadsheet to manage the membership base. They were looking at using another platform to charge member fees and all this sort of stuff. It's a mess. We give them one place, they can do everything. And then finally, the third archetype is people who are already running these communities and particularly running them professionally. Our estimation is that there's about 10,000 of these more professional communities around the world, particularly concentrated in cities like Bali, Dubai, LA, New York, Miami, São Paulo, Lisbon, all these sort of trendy cities that have the trendy people around them. This one in particular, The Edge, is a club that I'm a part of. It's a gated founders club with a minimum either prior exit or revenue generation, etc. They run 20 events a month. Currently, they're using Stripe, they're using Typeform, they're using Luma, they're using WhatsApp, and they're using Circle, I believe, to manage the community, to manage the memberships, to manage the events, to manage all of these things. It's a nightmare. So we give them one place to do the whole lot, removes an incredible amount of friction, and allows them to grow and scale what they're doing. And they intend to build The Edge not only in Bali, but in London, in Lisbon, in Singapore, in all these particular cities around the world. So the question is obviously, how big is this market? Is this actually a market? I believe it is, and I'll show in a minute how big the entire sort of events market is and where we're going here. But realistically, this is the numbers that matter, is that in the next 5 to 10 years, I believe that 5 to 10% of creators and brands in the world are going to be running events, social clubs, or offline hybrid communities. So this number is a little bit also tricky to quantify, but after a bunch of research, what we've identified is there's about 60 million creators in the world and about 50 million brands. If 5 to 10% of that equals around 5 to 10 million creators, brands, communities, and clubs, this is what I think will occur over the next 5, 10 years as the internet just becomes the domain of bots and AI. And people, human beings, start to move more back into the physical space. And this is everything, just to keep in mind, this is everything from Soho House and Equinox down to the book club that is run by your friend, and she's catching up on a regular basis with a couple of people, right? Everything in between that. Now, all of them will not need a platform. Many of them will do it informally, but a proportion of that serviceable, addressable market will look to use a platform. And I believe we can capture 5% of that, which is around 250 to 500K customers. And I believe we can monetize 10% of that through our subscription layer, right? Which gives us a annual recurring revenue of somewhere in the order of 25 to 100 million. So this validates for me that this is a venture scale business that we can expand. Very quickly, the business model, subscriptions is our bread and butter. So this is what differentiates us from the Eventbrite and the Lumas of the world, who have very lumpy income. The Lumas and Eventbrite, the event-centric applications usually make most of their money through ticketing. We will make the majority of our money through subscriptions, because when people start to run their community on our platform, they're not just going to pack up and leave. They are embedded in the platform. It becomes not only the management center for their community, but it also becomes a top of funnel for them to discover, for new community members to discover their place, to discover their community and join, right? So we become very sticky, and it increases our customer lifetime value. We also have the opportunity to do enterprise tooling, marketplace ads. And as you know, as a business scales up, you discover other things to do with it. Very quickly, how do we go to market? I mentioned this to Andy. There's three ways: education, relationships, events. So I'll start very quickly with education. Webinars. Creators are in the shit at the moment. They are all trying to figure out, how do I become AI immune? There is a huge demand for learning how to turn your audience into a community, and likewise with brands, how to turn customers into community. So we will own the space for educating people through webinars, through social content, through creator partnerships, all of that, which builds brand awareness and drives people to our application to actually use it. Number two is partnerships. So as I explained to Andy, I was a creator for 4 years, basically. I published a couple of books. I had a massive podcast. I built I've been on maybe 100 different stages. So I have a massive network in the creator space. And I have been speaking to all of these guys about this problem. So they're all interested in using it. And this is how we'll get that early things that don't scale adoption. But once you start to get these creators on, it's large as a global community, but creators watch other creators, so they start to bring others on. So that's one mechanism. The second mechanism is through channel partnerships. WOP, that I mentioned earlier, which is an online community platform, they have a marketplace where you can build third-party applications into it. So this, for me, is the ultimate sort of growth hack. Is we are already in discussions with WOP to basically become the number one or the main events application inside WOP, so that their 2.5 million creators can, with one click, create an event and have their members that are already part of their community join events, and they can start doing things in the real world. So this is a massive opportunity. And then finally, we will run our own event series and partner with other events and creators to get the word and get the name out there. So this is essentially dog fooding our own product, number one, and then also using particularly potent channel partnerships to get the word of our product out there. Now, we are still very much in the relationship stage, and we've got some early product market fit. We've got customers signing up left, right, and center. The next stage for us is to roll out and tighten this community layer. But as it stands right now, with the events and the calendars, we are already taking market share from Eventbrite, from Luma, from all of these with our early version of the product. The reason we're raising this capital round is to roll out the community layer and really start to take some market share. We're not some new kids on the block. We've built products before. So my background is I built the world's first Bitcoin only dollar cost averaging app. And we inspired everyone from Strike to Swan to Relay to River to all of these guys to basically do Bitcoin DCA, Bitcoin savings applications. When I told my prior team, so I exited in 2021, when I told them I was building something new, they all jumped ship from the other company. They came here, and we're building all together again. It's a fantastic team. We raised the pre-seed last year. We've got some good funds: Axiom, Timechain Capital, HCM Capital, Bitcoin Opportunity Fund, and the man, the legend himself, Ross Stevens. We are raising 1.5 to 2.5 million, somewhere in that range. 1.5 being the minimum, 2.5 million being the ideal. We have an anchor check already through Ross Stevens, which is signed, sealed, delivered, and paid. We also have Fulga discussing the lead amount, probably somewhere in the range of 500 to 750. What we're looking for is another couple of investors that can join us on this round with the potential to top up in subsequent rounds, which is why I love the Draper team. Finally, very quickly, as I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to show the size of the events industry. Just so you know, this is not a small business. This is genuinely a venture scale business. Is the global events industry is 1.4 trillion, and the digital layer, the tooling that makes events possible, is about $100 billion business. So you're looking at the large scale guys, the enterprise, Ticketmaster, AXS, Live Nation. These guys are, roughly GMV of $60 billion. Experience marketplaces, Fever, Dice, what Airbnb started to get into is about a 5 to 8 billion. Self-serve ticketing, which is big. So this is where Luma, Eventbrite, Purple Pass, EventCube, Tickettailor, all these guys live. This is a pretty large market. So, in the order of 8 to 15 billion. Event management software is quite large as well. Brella, Hoover, Cvent, Cvent being the giant in that space. And then even community meetup platforms. It's smaller, but it's large. So you're talking $100 billion there. Now, granted, not all of that is our target market, but somewhere between self-serve ticketing, experiences, community meetup platforms, all of that in aggregate is what we will be taking market share from. And another way to think about the TAM, this is the last thing I'll mention really quickly, is that we live somewhere at the nexus of that digital layer that powers events and the digital layer that services creators and brands. So both of these are, $120 billion. So we're talking a relatively large TAM, but as I said earlier, that's not what's really important. What's really important is the SAM and the SOM. Like, what can we transform this business into? And as I said, I do believe this is a large venture scale business. So in summary, guys, thank you for having a quick listen to this. I believe what we're building is very compelling, and it's not just me saying it. There was a great tweet that went around a little while ago, but the industry, AI is going to take over the internet for sure. It's going to transform also the physical world through automations and through enhancements. But what's going to happen is human connection, social networking, events, gatherings, communities, all this sort of stuff is really going to start to go offline and hybrid. And I believe what we're building is going to capture that in a big way. So thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. This maybe went on a little bit longer than what I anticipated, but I hope it was worth it. And I hope that it was useful listening to this. I look forward to chatting with you guys further, and I would absolutely love to work with the Draper team on this moving forward. Thank you again.